Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining and taking your time to see our webinar today, where Aleyda Solis will show us 5 SEO hacks to identify trends and opportunities with SimilarWeb. And to start, I'd like to start with the introduction. And my name is Tomas. I'm a strategic consultant here at SimilarWeb. Here with me, I have Hinkis, who is the head of SEO at SimilarWeb. And we have amazing Aleyda Solis, who is an international SEO consultant and founder of Orainti, a highly specialized boutique SEO consultancy, blogger. She blogs for Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, and Moz. She's also a speaker with more than 100 conferences in 20 different countries. And one of the interesting ones that I've been following now for some time is she offers really actionable SEO tips in her weekly YouTube series, Crawling Mondays. So you guys should definitely check this out as well. Just to run shortly through the content that we're going to cover. First of all, we'll look into how to identify content gaps and opportunities versus competition. Then Aleyda will show us what content types and formats are the best to satisfy users' search intent, find search trends that are worth targeting, and what are the differences between mobile and desktop search behavior and how to optimize for it. And for the last part, we're going to look into what are the biggest opportunities to grow in international markets in your specific sector. Additionally, one of the main reasons why we do these webinars live and not as a recording is that we want it to be more of a discussion and give you an ability to ask questions. So please don't forget to ask questions throughout the webinar using the questions panel, as we really want to hear from you today, and we will try to answer your questions at the end of the webinar. And without further ado, Aleyda, please show us how to be as amazing in SEO as you are.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you can, please allow me to share my screen.
Of course.
I'll start sharing. Excellent. Thank you. I think that you should be able now to see it, right?
Yes, we can see a screen.
Excellent. Perfect. So thank you very much for the opportunity and chance to share a little bit of the little, I wouldn't say even hacks, but ways to maximize the opportunities and wealth of data that SimilarWeb provides. And I think that this is a very common challenge right now in SEO, right? Like we have so many tools, so many data sources, and in many occasions, it's very, very, very difficult to identify how to make the most out of it, or how we can actually use that data for our own specific actions, our own specific recommendations, and given our own conditions and circumstances, right? So today, I would like to share 5 ways that I have found very, very useful to use SimilarWeb functionalities for, and you will see how I use and make the most out of many different type of reports that exist in the platform, how I identify opportunities there for my clients in so many different ways, right? And hopefully a good share of the audience already using SimilarWeb. So you can go ahead and replicate this and start using it as I do. If not, then this can give you like a much better view of what you are missing out, and potentially will have a better vision of why you need to start with the tool too. So the first aspect that I think is rather common as an SEO, right? Identifying keywords, queries, topics, gaps, and opportunities versus competitors. This is something that also I have to say that so many keyword tools out there, but we will see that in this particular case, I really like the workflow and the different functionalities that are provided by SimilarWeb, because it really facilitates first starting with the identification of those actual players that we can consider competitors in organic search, right? We select the market, we go and add our domain, our website domain, And we can go directly to the competitors sector and keyword competitors. So we can see there which are those actual players that overlay with us, right? And we can create our own categories, our own workplace. So it's super easy not only to do a one-time type of comparison, but continuously monitor this set of websites that we will want to follow up across the time on one hand. So for that, I use the workplace functionality. And the first thing that is very obvious that we can use to see what is the traffic evolution, trend, share, versus the competitors is the organic search overview, right? Like we can see right there for our own domain versus the competitors for any market that we want to analyze. What is the evolution of organic visits over time? One thing I have to say that I really like also about the way the data is displayed in SimilarWeb is that the traffic share and the traffic impact is included along, for example, the rankings and the keywords and the visibility. So we, at the end of the day, we want to rank well and we want to be included in SERPs as the means to an end, and that end is the actual traffic and conversion, right? So for me to prioritize the visibility there and the understanding of which is the player that is attracting more organic traffic and evolution over time, which player is increasing, which one is increasing.
Sorry, lady, can we go just back one slide? I just want to start a poll, Jess, if you can start a poll, and we can actually have a question about the next slide. I think it will be very interesting to see what our audience can actually answer if they think what the correct will be. And so the question is, how many additional visits can ASOS potentially gain in 3 months from keywords that send traffic to its competitors, but not ASOS? So it's sizing the opportunity. So first answer is 15,000, then 209,000, or 3,800,000. So it's just understanding how big potential opportunity is for a website. It can be yours or your clients. So please, guys, we'll let you maybe 5 to 10 more seconds to answer. But so how many potential new visits can ASOS gain in 3 months if it's targeting keywords that it's not targeting at this point? So I think this should be enough time so we can look at the answers. Okay, we have quite an even split. I see that people didn't think it's 15,000 that much. It's only 12%, which makes sense for a big website like ASOS. I don't think 15,000 would even make a big difference. But the correct answer, Aleyda, is I think 3,800,000. So it's great that we see 46% of people actually answering that. But a lot of people think that potential opportunity is a lot smarter than it is. So if we can go to the next slide, you can actually show what we can see in the data.
Yeah, I have to say something, right? I really love also that in this same report, you scroll down directly in the organic search overview and you get directly the predefined segments of opportunities combinations there, right? Like the keyword opportunities, keyword losses, highly competitive keywords, and keyword wins. And indeed, we can see right there, like we found this X number of keywords that you are not yet ranking as well as other players. And this represent this amount of additional traffic, organic search traffic that you will be able to get. So you can actually decide right there if it is worthy for you at all. And yes, given like the answer before, right, we need to understand that ASOS is a huge retailer in not only in the UK. This analysis was for the UK, but that is international, right? Targeting international markets too. So yes, it's it's normal and understandable that there's huge potential for them even right there, because they are like competing with all the very major type of players too in the market, right? So I have to say, this reports here, they really facilitate the analysis, because even if you're, for example, if you're feeling lazy, if you don't want to go through many different segments and functionalities, you have right here the predefined segment. So you can start really clicking on some of this. So for example, I this take you to the keywords report here. So for example, here, I selected the keyword losses one. So for which ASOS that is supposed to be my website here has only 1% to 20% of the organic search traffic share, while other players are profiting much more from these terms, right? And I have to say, I love the visualization of this and how everything is summarized also at the top. As you can see, like in aggregation, you will be able to get 139, this represents 139K search visits, 1% of desktop search visits, in fact. So you can see here how huge the market is here, how many keywords are included, right? So you can see, is this like, you know, like trying to target too much or not? It's like 88, 100 more keywords, more or less, doable for me to target with new content or to revamp the content that I already have. And you can start going through this, right? And you get, and one thing, and I really have the data here is included again. If you start clicking through the different terms that are provided here. So which are these terms that are organic, non-branded? You can start filter them more from Google, regular search, for which I don't have, like I have this very little share versus my other competitors. And you can see there, right there, also prioritize based on the traffic share that they are bringing to all of the players, the top terms. And then again, you can pass the mouse and click on the position column to understand how you are positioned, how you are ranking versus this set of competitors that you are analyzing for, right? So it's great because this also gives you far more context to see if, well, how far from the top you are in the first place, how much of an effort that will be. Realistically, how many of your other competitors are doing better than you or not, on one hand. And then you can understand if, like, oh my God, if you are in position 5th and you have this traffic share, imagine what you are able to get, and you can see pretty much the type of traffic that you will be expected to attract based on the position of the other players, the rankings, and the traffic share that they are getting, and the volume that represents, right? So I really like how this data is blended all together to give you a much better understanding of the impact of this of ranking for these queries, much more than simple, okay, ranking better, that's great, but actually how much you will be able to get from a traffic perspective, and in which position that will be. And then on the other hand, in the last column, again, we can click on one of the options there in every row to understand which are the pages that are ranking in those positions for you versus your competitors. Again, I think that this is very, very powerful because it allows you to better understand if you are not ranking as well, because you're not targeting the term at all. You don't have an indexable subcategory or facet or brand page or product page or whatever for that query in particular. And then you don't see ranking 1 there at all, or you see that 1 is ranking, but it's a non-relevant page completely. So of course you cannot expect that page to rank better. And then you can also assess from those players that are ranking in the first positions, what are these pages? Which type of
so you
page?
can learn what they're doing better, right?
Indeed. And then of course, if you really want to, if you still don't see the reason, right? Like, oh, I see that next here, they have a pajamas, right? Subcategory, but I see that the ASOS also has a pajamas, right? So why is ASOS, why I'm not ranking better than this other one if we both have a category page? You can there click and open them right away and start comparing and assess and doing an SEO assessment. Oh, it's because of how the content is displayed. Do they have a relevance issue or link popularity issue? It's because the content is not even rendered well, things like that. If it is a matter of a technical configuration, content relevance, or the content format, the matching the intent or not, there's so many potential reasons, right? But I love how, again, as I mentioned before, this all of these functionalities connects pretty well with the type of workflow that you will tend to have when doing this validation and analysis to identify not only, yes, these are the set of terms, but there's only so much time that you have to go through them. So you really want to prioritize those that can bring more value for you and better understand to identify what are those potential issues that you may have versus your competitors, right? I don't know if you wanted to add something else, sorry.
Yeah, I think from my side, it's I want to ask, because how we also use it is prioritization is made a lot easier here, because even though one of them can be, you can get a lot more search volume. If you just look at search volume, it actually doesn't bring as much traffic to industry, but this is all prioritized by traffic to your competitors and to you. So you can see that prom dresses actually bring a lot like more traffic than men's slippers. So then you know that this is more valuable too, even though in general, some other ones can have more search volume. And additionally, if prom dresses bring more traffic, but your market share is a lot smaller for men's slippers, actually gaining additional from 1% traffic share to 10 or 15, it's a lot easier than gaining from 20 to 50%, because Google will always have competition and you know which keywords is a lot better to go after.
Yes, indeed. Well, that is great. Thank you for your input. Indeed, I love how to put in context in the search volume, and a lot of us use it as the metric to go for realistically. But at the end of the day, that's again a means to the end, and the end is the traffic, the actual traffic that you will be able to bring from the term. Then another very nice functionality that I really like is the personalization, the flexibility that SimilarWeb provides with this custom competitive traffic filter. Again, we can see that the predefined ones that are actually pretty handy and very straightforward to use, only a click away. But if you want to tweak it further, like let's say, oh, I don't want to see the terms for which I only have 1 to 20% of the traffic share. I want to see the ones that for which I am having like very, very bad performance. So I want to see the ones for which I have from 1 to 10%. And then I want to see a comparison directly with this other particular player, because this is my #1 competitor, the one that I see that is outranking me all the time. Maybe I'm not in the last position, I am in the second one or in the third. So I really want to compare myself with those players that are consistently having a much better performance than me. So the tool gives you all of this functionality to go very granular, to be very flexible, to better understand and to prioritize even further. Let's say you saw the terms that will be a good potential terms to improve for you, but still there were too many. Maybe still for you because maybe you don't have enough resources to optimize so much, right? So you go back, you tweak more like this, and you can see right there. Or maybe you have this very specific use case, right? You want to see the terms or the topics that are trending right now because you really want to make the most out of the opportunity. Maybe it's not a matter for you to create content from scratch, but only to improve and tweak a bit the content of pages that you already have, right? So it shouldn't take that much. So you go and select the filter of trending terms. So right there, you can see the terms that will pay off rather much more quickly than others, right? And then again, if we continue to move forward, right, from the keywords to the keyword phrases, here I love the option of selecting more long tail type of terms, right? So to those terms, those queries of 2 or 3 words, right? Those that tend to be more granular. So here's not necessarily indeed about the impact or the search volume from a search volume perspective, but yes, the impact, the potential impact on traffic that they can end up providing you, and how relevant these terms are from a business perspective for you, right? So again, it's a very similar report than the one before, but the one thing that, and it provides, as you can see here, the same type of segmentation and filtering to identify the keyword opportunities there for you. But the one highlight that I would like here to show is that I really like this competitive traffic share over time that the tools provide. So you click on any term option there, as you can see, dressing gown, right? How it evolves over time, because again, another criteria here, if you want to prioritize or not to go after a topic or to optimize for a topic, might be seasonality. the trend over time. Maybe it's a topic that is dying out, or it's a term that the peak season is coming in a couple of months. So you really want to get ready right now, right? So you can better understand that right here on one hand, and then on the other hand, you can also better understand the share over time of the players. Maybe it really takes your attention because maybe you have, of course, been working with this website for a while, and then you see that right now you are not getting that much traffic versus your competitors, but you know that you were 6 months ago ranking very well. So you want to know what happened, right? So you can see, oh yes, before you were attracting this share of traffic, but not anymore. You're attracting this other one, right? So I love the way that this can be used to further validate or identify or add more criteria to your prioritization process in case you have too many terms. And again, you can even dig further. No, I want to like dig further, validate further for this set of, I don't know, 20 terms, let's say. So again, for this particular term that we were seeing before, like the dressing gown, we can see realistically if it has so much search volume, how come the traffic is so little, right? This type of questions. And then we can see, and I really, really like this insight that is included there for any term, is the click versus non-clicked results, right? So, and we were talking about this before the webinar earlier today, right? Like the share of non-clicks searches here versus the click ones for this particular term, 73 versus 27 is a lot. It's a lot indeed. Of course, it's a very broad topic, right? So a lot of this is the thing. Is it worth it to target this type of terms? Are very broad and then might be very informational, but from a very facts type of perspective. So these quick facts are the ones for which Google will provide a position 0 type of result, or that you will be very well satisfy your query by just seeing the results from the knowledge graph or the knowledge panel, right there from the concepts, rather than actually clicking or looking for information about dressing gowns, right? Or buying them because you really want to buy them or go through them, or you're in any phase of the conversion journey of a customer, right? Of customer journey. So yes, it's something important, particularly important to take into consideration here. Not necessarily a highly search volume term means more traffic on one hand, and then on the other hand, it really needs to match at the end of the day what you're looking to achieve. Maybe you really want to target transactional type of terms because you're in this particular context that you really want to maximize that from a business perspective, right? I know that you had a question here, right?
Yeah, so my question is more, so what do you think if it's dressing gowns? It's quite a short, it's only 2 words, it's not a long tail. So do you think it's more people maybe looking at this keyword and they're looking at maybe at pictures or like what it is or something like that?
Yeah, because you know what, and I have to admit something, but yes, again, I am not a native English speaker, right? When I saw the terms, like, am I sure of what that means? So I went to search for it, look at the pictures and see, okay, yes, that is.
So you were one of these people in 73%.
Yes, and indeed. So maybe they'll look like me, right? And you know what? Here, an hypothesis. We can see there in the trend, right, that it seems that there was an increase, a big increase in the past, and then it started to drop and won a little bit more on search volume in the last months, maybe because people were stuck at home more. They were starting.
I think that the seasonality, it's probably seasonality, because I think it's holidays during December, November, and then we saw like a huge increase in demand in traffic, and then it dropped down. So it's actually a very interesting case because you actually can see trends and seasonality through the traffic distribution graph.
Yeah, indeed. So it seems that people, when it is winter and holidays, etc., they like to, show off their nice new dressing gowns, and then now when they are stuck at home, also very likely. Oh well. And there is, speaking about seasonality, right? It really took my attention about this. One of those other terms for which our player here was not ranking necessarily as well was Christmas jumpers, right? And this is the thinking of this. If you see, oh, I am way behind for this term, and this term, take a look, huge type of potential. That the intent here and the share of click versus non-click is very split in half, pretty much, and we can see that the seasonality obviously is for Christmas at the end of the day. But you see, if you see that you have no page, no landing page, no category right now targeting this query, and it's something that you actually sell or have the potential, the visibility to sell, to start selling, I will definitely go and enable it right now because we're in June still. So there's enough time to get the page, publish, crawl, index, to get a little bit of good content there. Maybe not to do a full type of optimization and like outreach or to try to increase the popularity of the page completely, but at least you will have something already to target in a little bit competitive way for December, right?
You would not wait till December to publish this page. You would actually do it as early as possible and keep it live all the time, so it gets some maybe links or some better content.
Yeah, and you know what? And this is a type of category indeed that I will try to bring up in my campaigns or in any type of content action that I have over time during the year, or to mention or to internal link to, because I know that it's competitive. I know it can bring a lot on one hand, but in the meantime, the rest of the time of the year, indeed, like even the shops or stores that will eliminate it or not care about it at all. And I will say, like, it's important to try to leverage as much as possible to send more popularity, to try to take care of it so it performs as it should when we want.
So then, especially because a lot of some websites would not actually do this brings a bigger opportunity to you if you do it correctly.
Indeed.
I think it can also support PPC campaigns. If you're the SEO and have opinion, you can show the PPC experts these keywords, and they can also plan it in their search campaigns, paid search campaigns.
Well, it's true, and this is the thing, you show the data right there for sure. So you can actually take or make better decisions when you're seeing where the budget should go and how you can plan or align together in order to make the most out of the efforts in search in general, right? So indeed. And before moving on, this graph here, I love it because it doesn't only show the traffic trend over time, so you see the big peak in December, but actually show you the market share. And we can see how, for example, the player here that is in color purple grows at the end, right? And it's H&M there, and you can see right there that there's an increase, that there's an improvement. So you can see the evolution over time of the players, how maybe they are made some efforts at some point there, and they start to see an increase in the traffic that they will get at that time of the year, right? And then, of course, the current ranking versus traffic share of each player, the rank page and the content nature, handy to identify further opportunities versus yours too. You can see which are the actual rank pages right there for any term. Very easily, you can see which is the player, the particular pages are bringing more traffic with which type of pages, which are the categories, the type of these pages, so you can see better the type of nature of the pages that are better ranking, if these are more transactional or informational, what is the plan, and if it is actually doable for you or reasonable for you to try to go for this. And then finally, it's also important to think about not only how you, like, if you want to target and identify, for example, a particular category, subcategory, even if you identify that this is an informational type of query, to try to create a guide for it or a blog post or something like that, but also to identify the different content formats that it is viable or for you to to develop or to create based on the opportunities that exist also for this type of searches. So for example, red dress, we can see the share here of in image search, in the image search vertical. So again, it doesn't need to be only traffic for traffic and that's it, but let's think about the impact. Depends a little bit also at the end of the day on what you have as a goal, right? But the impact for you is to increase the visibility of your brand, of your website, and the visibility share in the SERPs in general. Think about how you can increase that with, for example, image search in this case, or video search. For this particular type of term, image search is huge, and it's also, you can see the image pack, the images are shown also and included and blended in traditional search results from Google, right? And these are brought from the top image results from the image search vertical, right? So you want to identify those types of opportunities that you may want to leverage, because sometimes this type of results, of rich results, can have a much better visibility and inclusion in search result pages, and we can even get more clicks than traditional organic results. And the same here, we can see that if you analyze this not per query or group of queries, but if you do this type of comparisons here from all of the different domains together, and you can see here, okay, regular search, you expect that is higher, but then shopping, image search. So you can start locating your efforts, your content efforts and budget on creating this or the type of format, or repurposing the content or re-optimizing the content that you may already have there. So second area here or use case will be to understand best the content type to satisfy intent. We know that Google search engines in general, much more sophisticated nowadays. So it's not only about having content, a lot of content that might be relevant or match the query, but really that this content is of the nature that search engines identify that are the ones that are really seek by users, and that this type of content is the one that will actually satisfy the user intent and the query and the questions that they might have, right? And a really way that I have identified to leverage for this type of analysis and validation from SimilarWeb is to go to the research, the audience research there, and we can identify even the interests of the audiences right there, right? Like visitors from ASUS also likely browse this other type of websites. And these are the topics distributions, and these are the other websites that they go to, and these are the categories of those websites. And we can see and compare what is the share that they compare with these other top players, or other competitors, the competitors that we have also identified, and we are comparing directly to on one hand, and then with the demographics, the profile of those users, gender distribution, age distribution, that can be useful for you, and to also identify to develop your personas at some point in case you haven't done that. So all of this, when you're doing a keyword research, content analysis, content opportunity validation, content gap, can help you to also prioritize even further and identify further opportunities and establish a much more actionable and reasonable action plan for you in your particular case. And for example, we can analyze terms like women's pajamas or Nintendo Switch, right? And it's very funny because for me, indeed, these are terms that might look similar in nature, right? Women's pajamas is like two words term, the same Nintendo Switch, but we can see how, for example, women's pajamas, the non-click results is 36% and the click 64%. But for Nintendo Switch, it's the other way around. 60% are non-click and 40% are click, right? So what is going on is because when users search for Nintendo Switch, what they are looking for is they understand that when they search for that is still a too broad query, and they see so much of a blend of guides versus shopping websites with photos, with images, with videos, with guides, with how-tos. Why, right? So it's interesting to start analyzing a little bit the split of which are those terms that will bring you more traffic, which is what you actually also very likely want to prioritize on one hand, but then also on the other hand, the different type of intent that the fact that they don't click the results might give to you, right? It's because it's a purely factual type of search. Maybe they just want to check something very specific and not.
Before we move to the next slide, when we do a
Yeah.
poll again, we have one more poll. So before this slide, can you go just slide back? Yeah, we can run one more poll. I think that's an interesting question between clicked and non-clicked. I just want to see, we kind of covered quite a lot. So the question is, which keyword has the highest non-clicked search percentage? So which keyword do people click through results the least? So is it headphones? Is it best headphones for gaming? Or is it wireless in-ear headphones? So which keyword has the highest of non-click search percentage? So if you're searching for one of these keywords, when people are less likely to click to one of the results. So first one is headphones, then best headphones for gaming, and the third one is wireless in-ear headphones. So we'll give you a couple more seconds to answer. And yeah, I think we can see the results now. I'm actually really interested, did people answer this correctly? Okay, and I think this is quite intuitive then. As you can see, Aleyda, a lot of people answered it correctly. 63% shows headphones, which kind of makes sense. And I don't know, can you explain why would be the headphones the most likely to probably be in that category?
Yeah, so in general, it's the broader one, right? So in general, from my experience, the broader the term, it tends to be more ambiguous, and the user will try to start with that term of that query, broader query, to start for a much further type of query journey, right? So it's maybe some potentially the starting point of a much longer query journey just to start validating the topic. Maybe it's a new topic for them. So headphones, okay, let's see what is there, right? So, oh, there are many types like in-ear or they're like wireless, whatever. So they start identifying that there are many types, that there are many offerings, or they literally they see so much of a mix of type of websites there in search results that they realize like, no, I need to specify further in order to get much more specific results for the type of headphones that I know that I already want, right? So this is when they will search for best headphones for gaming because it's like, oh, why should I care about going through if I know that I already want that, right? And of course, for example, we can see how it is connected. Best headphone for gaming, much more specific terms of wireless in-ear headphones that in general, they tend to get much more clicked than the broader term. So this, again, another type of very common prioritization criteria to go further. A lot of people, they tend to think, again, still like broader the term, the most profitable it will be because more searches it has. Not necessarily if we apply the percentage here that actually ends up being clicked on one hand. And then if indeed the intent of the user that is still very broad and very ambiguous and maybe it's not to buy, and if you really care about the conversion here from a transactional perspective, maybe it's not the best term for you to prioritize, right? So I love how it gives much more criteria to validate right away if this is really a right term for us to go or not. And then, of course, much better signals to identify the intent of the user behind as searching for with this type of terms, right? And then also not only that particular set of the report, but also when the report shows which are the top ranked pages right there. So we can see the difference between headphones again and best headphones for gaming. And I really like, again, not only the traffic share and the position and the change over time, which is great for opportunities and prioritization, but also we can see which are the website categories that are ranking for one and the other. And we can see how, for example, for headphones, we can see more e-commerce and shopping type of category that are more generic than the much more transactional and e-commerce driven from a shopping perspective, which are the computer electronics and technology, right? They are much like, so we can see a split here between e-commerce and from a shopping perspective, and then e-commerce guides from an informational perspective. So for headphones, again, we can see e-commerce and shopping, e-commerce and shopping. That is the much more transactional. Sorry, this other way, e-commerce and shopping, that is more transactional, the online shopping. And then on the other hand, for best headphones gaming, because again, how-tos or which are much more, not so, much more meat of the funnel type of query, not so at the end when you are ready and you already know which is the product, right? We can see how the computers and electronics, Tech Radar, Tom's Guide, TREI, PC Magazine, PC Gamer. So yes, these are media websites for electronics, but these are not online shoppings. These are not e-commerce sites. They do sell though. I mean, don't get me right. You will see pages that are guys there and they have affiliates very likely with the players from the other report, right? From the left, from Currys, from Amazon, from Argos, right? So at the end of the day, the final goal is the same, is to sell, but in another way. So again,
yeah, just to maybe clarify. So yeah, it's interesting. One thing is that Tech Radar goes from 1% to 25% in traffic share. Like it's huge. It's 25%, 25 times increase. And just a reminder that we don't really have much time to go. So to do a Q&A. So just a reminder, maybe like 5 more minutes.
We need to go much further. Okay, let's go then. Yeah. So no more chit chat. We go directly. We can validate further by segmenting rank pages, website type. So again, besides the website categories here, we can see with this very useful filter, which are the natures of the top ranked pages, right? So again, for the best headphone for gaming, there we apply the filter for transactional websites. We will see very few websites there that are not attracting the highest share of traffic. If we select the publishing, content publishing websites, we can see that is on the other way, right? These are pages that are there are more pages ranking of this type in the top position, and these are attracting a much higher traffic share. So it's very likely that you want to prioritize this type of content in order to target this type of queries. And again, here, the opportunities with all the formats that might better be used or leveraged to better satisfy the intent of the users. And I love this in particular because you don't only can do this at a term level, but for a group of terms that you can create yourself with the keyword generator tool. I found this particularly useful and insightful because again, you can not only see the search popularity here for this group of terms, but also which are the websites that tend to rank again and again for this group of terms. And third one here, discover term trends, word targeting. Again, this is very important what we are seeing with coronavirus, right? Like search behavior is changing a lot, right? And so it's very, very important to identify which are the type of products or services we are not yet providing that will satisfy this new type of searches that our audience are using or are searching for. So in the keywords report, the newly discovered filter, I have found it to be super useful, very straightforward to use again to bring those type of terms. And if the best is that we can mix them together, newly discover new terms that were not searched before, and trending terms again, that is not only that they were not searched before, but the type of increase that they have seen in the latest times is huge, right? Like, you know, and they are being searched a lot right now, right? So very popular and new. So this can provide you much better opportunities. And if you're looking also to identify not only topics in general, but actual questions from your audience that for a FAQ, for a Q&A, to provide to your support people to develop much more informational type of content, then the question queries filter here is very, very useful to see directly which are those questions instead of topics. And of course, you can analyze further the identifying term here to understand the evolution over time and how big the trend is. So for example, I selected summer dresses. That is not surprised. People are searching for them much more right now. So we can see the big increase here at the end of May, right? But then we see here the evolution during 1 month. I want to see this further, right? Like when all this started and when it will very likely end, right? So we can see still the trend from the year before to better understand that we're still in a good position right now to try to leverage and target these type of trends as they are happening right now, right? And of course, you can, again, group terms together to understand the evolution and the trends. So for example, not for the summer dresses top term only, but all for the summer dresses phrases match query term permutations. So you can better understand like all of the group of queries that a potential page here will be able to target. great, I want to see this on an aggregated basis, right? 4, find mobile versus desktop differences. And I know that mobile should be always important because on one hand, we have mobile first index. So this is the content that Google will end up indexing or ranking at the moment. But I will say, let's better understand which is the device that is much more popular among our audience, because at the end of the day, depending on the industry, right? If we work, and this is a very good example here, e-commerce, online shopping, of course, like we can see how mobile has a much higher here share, and you can go and check this and identify this information right away in the strategic overview for the comparison of the websites in the workplace when you create a workplace. But then we see all the type of websites, like the remote work type of websites, and it's understandably most of the people who are searching for this type of resources are working, and they work with desktop devices, right? So we can see that this is the other way around. Instead of being 40-60 in favor of mobile, here is the other way around. It's 60-40 in favor of desktop, right? It's not that mobile is not important, but there are higher share of desktop searches still today. And then what it is actually more important is to understand what are the differences. If the terms that are searched on mobile versus desktop are the same, if there are differences, what are the type of differences? How you can address these differences with your web taxonomy, with your organization of your navigation on mobile devices, with the content that you produce to show it or to feature in another way in mobile devices, for example, because you can better understand if the behavior of the users changes when they are searching from mobile, when they are searching potentially much more on the go, or for different use cases than when they are seated, like sitting, for example, on an office or on a desktop working, but different type of mode and intent, right? Very likely. So again, I love how the tool, the research here, you can switch from desktop, that is the default one that is provided, to mobile, and you can see the split and the differences between even the opportunities that are shown, right? Like remember, this is the same report here on research, keywords, opportunities here. You go and always validate and check if the opportunities that you're seeing on desktop are the same or how much different they are on mobile, and if the pages that are ranking for one or the other are different, if so how, and the positions and the rankings are different, if so how, you can have a better understanding of where to start if you're making you may be not making the most out of your mobile opportunity yet. And then of course the specific search trends, evolution of top rank competitors getting more traffic for mobile queries. Again, I love the mobile report here for any given particular term, and we can understand again if this is a very hot topic on mobile devices or not, and which are the top players that are getting more traffic for it. The same when we do keyword groups, or we group keywords, or we try to identify more keywords, phrase matches for a particular term, we can switch and select the mobile web filter here to identify those are actually much more or will tend to bring much more traffic or value to your own website again, and do the same for whole set of topics that you can generate for, and you can see which are the particular terms that will end up giving you more traffic from mobile. Again, not only, and then of course, those players are right now making the most and attracting the traffic from those terms. So the two things, then you will have the target terms to prioritize from a mobile perspective, that you know that these are mobile user, and then on the other hand, you have the websites that you know that are performing much better than you, and you will likely go and take a look at what they are doing for these terms, right? And the fifth and last is uncover international growth opportunities. And I know that not everybody is doing international SEO here necessarily. However, I have to say that in the last months, even because of what is happening right now in the world, a lot of online shops have, like, the natural evolution for them have been to, let's try to diversify the markets, right? So I have found particularly useful this set of reports of SimilarWeb to quickly identify the potential markets for players that had never done anything internationally, right? So the cross-country category analysis here, we go for any category, for any vertical here, for the vertical, the industry of our client, and we can see which are the top countries that are generating more traffic, organic traffic, and or the traffic growth over time. This is important. And so which are those markets where it will be doable for a client or a company to operate at or for, right, rather easily. Those that actually may speak even our own language, right? So the localization process is not as difficult, or internationalization process, right? It's not as difficult. Then we can use the geography report there for the set of players that we are competing our websites with, to better understand where is the traffic coming in general, right? If we haven't selected a particular market yet. So we can see how, for example, here is the US, then is India, Canada, the UK, and we can see which is the player that are attracting more traffic from each too. So we can see, oh, this particular competitor of mine, direct competitor, that are making the most already of this particular market. Let's see which are the terms that they are getting there, the potential traffic that there is in this particular market. So after a step after, like here, I identify the top markets. I say, okay, I want to analyze India, Canada, UK, the three are English speakers. I can very well develop content for the three, and I have the conditions to deliver for the three. So I want to further understand then the specific behavior in that market. And this is when I will go and select in the country report here from the selectors to see the particular evolution over time and the behavior of the traffic from this particular country, and compare them side by side, right? Like, so which is the one that will bring me more potential, for which is the one that are more or less ranking already better or not, which organic versus paid, branded traffic, whatever. So it's much better assessment of the opportunity that I have here versus my main competitors at the moment. So as you can see, you can dig a lot, of course, much more, but in general, I think that these are really very nice features that you can leverage right away to identify keyword gaps and opportunities, understand best the content type to satisfy intent, discover term trends, word targeting, find mobile versus desktop difference, and uncover international growth opportunities. And I hope that you have liked them. I think that we still have just a tiny bit of more time potentially for a couple of questions, so I can answer them.
Let's maybe cover maybe a few questions. Ray, do you wanna read out some questions that you found interesting?
Yeah. So one question in particular was interesting. What is your opinion on formatting a long tail keyword as a question? So as a research company, we release a lot of blog posts that are both educational and leisure reading. I believe some of our prospect customers may search a question on a search engine and may come to our page for an answer to their health question. I think it's related to health and educational, so probably people asking for how to get this and why, etc. So how would you approach it in terms of a long-tail strategy as a keyword?
Of course, first, if long tail, right? It's important to assess if the opportunity that you will get from that keyword, when ranking for that keyword, the potential traffic will compensate the effort of creating the content for it. That in the first place, that's the first thing to do for long tail, right? And of course, if it is even long tail, but then an important term to target or query or question, because that question that is major, very important in the conversion journey, in the customer journey, you want to establish your authority in your market. So it's not only about transaction, right, but also connect with your customers at that point, and it has a non-trivial search volume. Of course, target it. And what it is important here is to structure the content well, to rank well, to actually connect with that query. Don't expect to create, so for example, to add this in a, I don't know, category page. Like these are queries that need to be targeted from informational type of pages. You can have an FAQ section of your website or in your blog. You develop content, develop guides or articles or posts that will be in the FAQ format. You can use the FAQ structured data also to maximize the visibility in SERPs too. So I think that it's great as long as it is, you have clear two things, that you are not necessarily likely sell directly with these queries, because these queries are not transactional but informational. But then it's completely appeal, this can be very appeal to target because of the reasons I mentioned before. But then on the other hand, also, if the potential traffic that they will bring will compensate the effort for you to write the content and optimize the content. Yeah.
That's a great answer. I think we don't have enough time for more questions, but anyone can basically tag and mention Aleyda in Twitter, and she probably is gonna answer. So thank you so much. And
Yeah,
we have the blog. We have the blog post that Aleyda wrote in our similar blog, so you're welcome to read it.
Yes, and then you can leave the comments there. If you have questions, I'll be more than happy to take a look at the blog post and answer the questions over there too.
perfect. Thank you, Aleyda. It was amazing. Great presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think that we could be here talking like
Yeah.
2 hours together. So thank you for keeping up, and was very happy. It was a very nice moment for me to be able to share a little bit of what I have found so far with tool, and very looking forward to for more features, more functionalities. Hopefully,
We'll let you know, definitely. You'll be our first person to try them.
So the recording will be sent via email because we got so many questions. So we recorded the webinar, and all the people that registered will see it in their email.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
perfect. Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.